Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell is a stealth video game developed by Ubisoft Montreal and built on the Unreal Engine 2. It is the first Splinter Cell game in the series. Endorsed but not created by author Tom Clancy, it follows the activities of NSA Black Ops agent Sam Fisher. The character of Fisher is voiced by actor Michael Ironside. His commanding officer, Irving Lambert, is voiced by actor Don Jordan. The game is available for Xbox, Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Mac OS X. 2D versions of the game were released for the Game Boy Advance and N-Gage, as well as the mobile phones version developed by Gameloft. A remastered, high-definition version of Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell was released on the PlayStation 3 in September 2011. The success of the game series spawned a series of novels written under the pseudonym David Michaels. Gameplay. The primary focus and hallmark of Splinter Cell's gameplay is stealth, with heavy emphasis on light and darkness. The player is encouraged to move through the shadows for concealment whenever possible. The game displays a light meter that reflects how visible the player character is to enemies, and night vision and thermal vision goggles to help the player navigate in darkness. Splinter Cell heavily encourages the use of stealth over brute force. Although Fisher is usually equipped with firearms, he carries limited ammunition and is not frequently provided with access to additional ammo. The player begins most missions with a limited supply of less than lethal weapons in addition to Fisher's firearms. A suppressed FN-57 sidearm, as well as a suppressed FN-F2000 assault rifle midway through the game, which includes a telescopic sight and a launcher for some of the less lethal devices such as ring airfoil projectiles, sticky shockers, and CS gas grenades. Flexibility of movement is a focus point of Splinter Cell. Fisher can sneak up on enemies from behind to grab them, allowing interrogation, quiet incapacitation, or use as a human shield. Fisher is acrobatic and physically adept, and has a variety of maneuvers including the ability to mantle onto and climb along ledges, hang from pipes, and perform a split jump in narrow spaces to mantle up a steep wall. Plot. In April 2004, the president of Georgia is assassinated, allowing Georgian billionaire Combine Nicoladze to seize power by bloodless coup d'etat. In August 2004, former U.S. Navy SEAL officer and Persian Gulf War veteran Sam Fisher is recruited by the NSA to work within its newly formed division, 3rd Echelon. Working with his old friend Irving Lambert, Fisher is introduced to technical expert Anna Grimsdottir and field runner Vernon Wilkes Jr. In October 2004, Fisher is dispatched to Tbilisi to investigate the disappearance of 2 CIA officers. Fisher attempts to meet an informant, Thomas Gurginadze, only to find him dying in a burning building. Gurginadze warns that one agent's transmission mentioned proof that could cause a war. Finding the agent's corpses in a police morgue, Fisher learns that a former Spetsnaz agent, Vyacheslav Grinko, removed their subdermal tracking implants. Tracking Grinko's license plate number using CCTV, 3rd Echelon tracks him to the Georgian Ministry of Defense. Fisher arrives at the ministry and records a meeting between Grinko and Canadian hacker Philip Mass. Fisher learns Nicoladze is conducting an illegal operation in Azerbaijan. Fisher hacks Nicoladze's computer, and learns Nicoladze has been waging an ethnic cleansing campaign across Azerbaijan by using cells of Georgian commandos. In retaliation, NATO forces enter Azerbaijan, prompting Nicoladze to go underground. The NSA informs 3rd Echelon that Georgian soldiers stationed on a Caspian oil rig have been exchanging data with the Georgian presidential palace. Fisher infiltrates the rig, only to find NATO is sending fighter jets to bomb the facility. Fisher discovers that technician Pyotr Lehava is trying to prevent rig computer data from falling into NATO hands, requiring his encryption key. Fisher trails Le Havre and interrogates him. Learning the data concerns the Ark, Fisher recovers his laptop and encryption key and extracts. Examining Le Havre's laptop, Grimm reveals that the intel could have come from a CIA mole. Lambert then reveals that North America has just been hit by a massive cyber warfare attack, directed primarily against military targets. In a broadcast, Nicoladze claims responsibility for the attack and officially declares war on the United States and its allies. Fisher infiltrates the CIA headquarters and accesses the CIA computer mainframe, allowing Grimm to trace the data leak to the computer of Mitchell Doherty. Captured for interrogation, Doherty claims ignorance of the leak, but the NSA learns that his obsessive-compulsive disorder caused him to back up data on an insecure laptop, which was exploited by a network owned by Kalinatech, Inc. Aware their operation is compromised, Georgia hired mafiosos attempt to remove all traces of Nicoladze from the Kalinatech offices by destroying the building and murdering the staff. Intercepting a 911 call from a technician named Ivan, Lambert tells Fisher that the FBI will rescue Ivan, but Fisher needs Ivan's encryption key. Fisher extracts with the help of Wilkes, who is mortally wounded in the process and later dies. Using the encryption key, the NSA discovers Nicoladze has been using a network of unconventional relays to communicate with Georgian military cells. The NSA traces the full relay network to the Chinese embassy in Yangon, Myanmar. Worried Chinese support could cause World War III. Fisher sneaks into the embassy and eavesdrops on a conversation between Nicoladze and General Kong Ferrong, and learns they are working together. Learning of captured U.S. Army soldiers and high-ranking Chinese officials are in a local slaughterhouse, Fisher delays interrogating Ferrong to save the hostages, who are scheduled to be executed on a live broadcast. Fisher is detected, and in a firefight, Fisher kills Grinko. Returning to the embassy, Fisher grabs a drunken Ferrong before he can commit suicide, and forces him to share the information stored on his computer. The information reveals Nicoladze has fled back to Georgia, where he is trying to activate a suitcase nuke known as the Ark, infiltrating the Georgian presidential palace, containing Nicoladze and new Georgian President Volodymyr Kristavi. Fisher attempts to recover the key to the Ark, which has been placed somewhere in the United States. Fisher corners Nicoladze, who bargains to give the Ark key in exchange for safe passage out of Georgia, before Fisher can recover it. Kristavi soldiers take Nicoladze and the Ark key elsewhere. About to be executed, Fisher escapes when Lambert causes a brief blackout. Discovering Nicoladze is offering the Ark's location for protection, Fisher assassinates Nicoladze. Discovering the Ark, U.S. Army evacuates an apartment complex in Hope Gate, Maryland on claims of a gas leak, and secretly recovers the Ark. Despite World War III being averted, Nicoladze's corpse sparks international backlash due to the suspicious circumstances around his death. Watching the presidential broadcast on the crisis, Fisher then receives a secure phone call from Lambert for another assignment. Development. Because the development team was aiming for a teen ESRB rating, the team tried to minimize the level of violence. The soundtrack for the game was composed by English composer Michael Richard Plowman. The game started development as a sci-fi, James Bond-type game, until development was told to create a Metal Gear Solid 2. Sons of Liberty Killer version differences. The PC version of Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell is fairly closely based on the original Xbox version. Both were made by Ubisoft Montreal. The GameCube and PlayStation 2 versions, released later, were developed by Ubisoft Shanghai, and are similar to each other, but have many small changes over the originals, with the result that they are generally easier. Some doors are moved around, guards are less likely to notice gunshots, etc. Each version of the game has some exclusive features. The Xbox and Windows versions have 3 new downloadable missions which involve a Russian nuclear sub, The PlayStation 2 version includes an exclusive level which takes place in a nuclear power plant, new cinematics, a new intro cinematic with original music by the Prague Orchestra, and many behind-the-scenes interviews and documentaries both about the new intro and the game itself. The GameCube version includes the same cinematics, uses the Game Boy Advance link cable to give players a real-time overhead map, a new sticky bomb weapon, and progressive scan 480p support. Additionally, both the GameCube and PlayStation 2 versions include new binoculars items. A PlayStation 3 version was announced to be part of the Splinter Cell trilogy, which was released in September 2011 as part of Sony's Classics HD series. It was revealed on the PlayStation blog that it would be ported from the PC version, because it had more details and more content than the PlayStation 2 version. It was released on the European PlayStation Network on August 10, 2011. The PlayStation 3 version does not include the downloadable bonus missions that the Xbox or PC version had. Reception: Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell received positive reviews upon the game's release. GameSpot's Greg Kasavine said that Splinter Cell has, hands down, the best lighting effects seen in any game to date. IGN likewise praised the game for its graphics and lighting. Both praised the game's audio, noting that Michael Ironside as Sam Fisher's voice suited the role perfectly. Scott Allen Marriott of AllGame gave the Xbox version 4.5 stars out of 5, and called it one of the few games to elicit a feeling of suspense without resorting to shock techniques found in survival horror titles like Resident Evil. Criticism of the game was also present. Greg Kasavine said that Splinter Cell is sometimes reduced to frustrating bouts of trial and error. In addition, Kasavine criticized the game's cutscenes, saying that they are not up to par with the rest of the game's graphics. Non-video game publications also gave the game favorable reviews. Entertainment Weekly gave the Xbox version an A and called it wickedly ingenious. The Village Voice gave the PlayStation 2 version 8 out of 10 and said, "If this game were any more realistic, you'd have to hold in your farts." The Cincinnati Enquirer gave the Game Boy Advance version all 4 stars and said that, while it lacks 3D graphics and an impressive use of lighting and shadows found in its predecessors, the stealthy action game still captures the thrill of modern espionage. Sales: the game sold over 3 million copies, 2.4 million in the US, 600,000 in Europe, and 5,449 in Japan, making it one of the top best-selling video games for the Xbox. Awards: E3 2002 Game Critics Awards. Best Action Adventure Game, 3rd Annual Game Developers Choice Awards. Excellence in Writing, 6th Annual Interactive Achievement Awards. Console Game of the Year, Outstanding Achievement in Gameplay Engineering. IGN Best of 2002. Xbox Game of the Year, Xbox Best Graphics. Nominations: 3rd Annual Game Developers Choice Awards. Game of the Year, Original Game Character of the Year, Excellence in Game Design, Excellence in Level Design, and Excellence in Programming. 6th Annual Interactive Achievement Awards. Innovation in Console Gaming, Outstanding Achievement in Sound Design, Outstanding Achievement in Visual Engineering, and Console Action Adventure Game of the Year. IGN Best of 2002. Overall Game of the Year.